Hi, I'm Sam and I'm hoping to do some gear reviews. This will be the first since I have it on loan from Simon Fay. This is his Road Trip guitar that he's sending to a few guitarists to try out and review. Um, I don't own this guitar, and my goal with this YouTube channel is to discuss different gear, because why discuss the same thing everyone else is talking about? I promise not to do clickbait crap, and eventually discuss things I've tried that worked, didn't work, and maybe discuss why. So without further ado, this is the Simon Fay Road Trip guitar. It has a Sitka spruce top. The body seems to be about the size of Taylor's Grand Concert-ish. Scale length is 25-inch, which is a little different. It's kind of in between 25 and a half-ish and then 24 and 3/4. Seems to be a good scale length for regular and dadgad tuning. He also offers multi-scale, which is 25 and a half to 25. Might be better for like slightly lower tunings, but one thing to keep in mind with this fingerstyle guitar is that it is designed for lighter tension, which helps it get more response. And per his website, he doesn't recommend 13 gauge strings in standard tuning because the guitar won't explode, but it'll start to deform the top a little quicker, and that's sort of the price you pay for a responsive guitar. It features a kind of a nice segmented rosette that's neat without being too gaudy, but also not too simple. This is the Desert Ironwood back and sides, and it's supposedly really dense. So it has a similar sound to like an African blackwood or ebony. It's usually not used on acoustic backs and sides because the pieces aren't very big, and it would be very difficult to show this on my camera, but there's like a little middle section of wood, so he can get the back a little wider than the size of the lumber would normally allow. So everything about this guitar, and here's the headstock, kind of a better view. Everything about this guitar is, balanced. It's not very flashy, but it's also not plain. And the tone is unique because it's his own voice. I don't really know of other builders right now I can think of that would describe the tone. But, it's a nice modern fingerstyle guitar, and his neck is kind of a slimmer carve. It's a bit of a Taylor type feel, which works for me because I've got small hands and I play kind of more of that somewhat classical based technique. And when people start saying thin necks cause their hands to cramp, it's usually because they're kind of gripping the neck like this, which technically isn't proper technique, and usually people argue about proper technique have never studied it. And with me being a small guy and having small hands, I was fortunate to take a little bit of classical guitar, which really helped my hands in terms of like comfort and playing a long time, and other things to consider about this fingerstyle guitar, which some people would say there's no such thing, but it's a really light guitar. And if you're this isn't the kind of guitar you'd bring to a bluegrass jam, which on some forums, that's like the end-all be-all of acoustic guitar, is if you can take it to a bluegrass jam. Well, I mean, this isn't intended for that, and subsequently back in the day, I was like, oh, I better get a bluegrass guitar, only to learn that there's really nothing bluegrass in my area. So always take that into consideration when people are telling you need this or you don't need this. It's very, very responsive. I mean, I haven't played with a pick a ton because I generally don't do that, and it's not my guitar, so I don't know how I feel about really tearing it up on something that's not mine. Here's an example of how full it sounds and how long it can sustain. So very lush tone, lots of resonance, lots of sustain. And one good thing about these like more responsive tops is you can kind of play light and dig in, and the guitar has a dynamic so you can hear it a lot better. Where on a heavier guitar or heavier built guitar, you might not hear this as well. So, you know, my overall thoughts on this is it's a great, fingerstyle guitar. The only thing I might change is I maybe want to cut away, because why not? And, you know, depending on what I intended it for, you know, this for regular and dadgad tuning, I think 25-inch scale is good. But if I wanted to tune a little lower, I might go for the multi-scale. He currently only offers one body shape, which is this, because he's in a position where he's building his guitars, where it's like if you're looking for another Martin clone or, you know, a clone of another builder, he's in a position to build his own guitars, and, you know, that's great for him. I mean, the only thing I might say that's slightly negative about the guitar is the Desert Ironwood is pretty pricey and it's very unique, but not something I'd necessarily want to spend the extra money on. You know, I generally like things in the rosewood family and of tone, and this sounds, you know, it would probably sound about as good, and, you know, I just don't think the upcharge would be worth it for me, although if someone were to give me this guitar, I'd be like, oh, sure, no problem. But as a whole, great fingerstyle guitar. Nice Sitka top, which, you know, a lot of people want to go with various European spruces or high-grade Adirondack, you know, the various tunnel redwoods. And, you know, this sounds fine. You know, no complaints. You know, if I were to order one, I'd probably stick with a Sitka top. Maybe Engelmann if I wanted just a little more response. But, you know, that's my review, and hopefully you can take something away from this, and this will go on to a couple more people who will, you know, play this, enjoy it, maybe give him feedback. And I think ultimately Simon is planning on using this on like a guitar that he takes to shows as his demo guitar. And, you know, spec-wise, it's good for your average fingerstyle player with, you know, they'd say, okay, this is what it should sound like. I might want a little bit of this or that. And, you know, with him being a custom company, you can order that kind of stuff. So, and at another time, I'm going to try to post some good song clips of this so I can kind of show you what it does. I'm trying to do everything in 1 or 2 takes if possible, and, you know, trying to talk about this guitar while, you know, also doing great clips of the sound. You know, it sounds like a lot of more trouble than it's worth, and I'm just trying to be quick and dirty. So that's my review. Go to his web, you know, Google him and check him out. Have a nice day.